Look at our province as a whole. We have the highest incomes in Canada, the highest disposable income, the lowest taxes of any jurisdiction in Canada. Just in my constituency alone, I have 3 brand new hospitals. We have 2 excellent universities in Alberta. If you look at Alberta's hydrocarbon deposits, we're talking centuries of deposits in our province, in coal, in oils, in heavy oils, in natural gas. It's an unbelievable resource that we're sitting on here. The world will want our resources for the foreseeable future, as long as they're available at a price that's competitive with other sources of energy. And it's not just to run your cars, it's to make polypropylene ropes and all sorts of other things. In Alberta, we believe that we can develop our resources and have a clean environment. And for the most part, we've had some considerable success in doing exactly that. The Three Creeks area is an anomaly. I will freely admit it's a serious one. We have residents that are seriously impacted out there, and we're going to do something about it.
My grandfather was one of the first scouts in the area for Shell Canada to show them how to get into these remote sites, and got into the agricultural business. We've downsized our grain farming substantially from where we were years ago. We were doing approximately 5,000 acres of grain about 10 years ago. Now we're doing probably 600. We run anywhere from 200 to 600 head of beef cattle. We have the bees for the honey on the farm. It was supposed to be organic honey, but it can no longer be organic honey in Alberta with all these hydrocarbons in the air. And we're fighting the government tooth and nail. Alberta government's stance on this is to lie and deny what's happening in the oil sands industry here. And we're taking a big hit here every year, financial hit over what's happening here. We're having a lot of premature born births with calves, a lot of birth defects, a lot of kidney and lung problems in the cattle, and all kinds of things like that.
I was born and raised here. My parents came from Quebec. We ended up moving out here in this bush quarter to be quiet, hopefully to retire here. And now that seems to be taken away from us. So we can't stay here anymore. We've tried it, we stuck it out for a long time, but we're just getting too ill. Approximately 18 months ago, Prosper sold to Baytex, and that's where our problems started. Baytex, I believe, really increased their production, where they heat the oil and heated up the tanks more than they should have been, perhaps, to separate the sand from the oil, they tell me. Even if we don't necessarily smell in the air, we still get ill. We don't want to leave the windows open to the house. We've noticed that was a big mistake, to circulate the air through here. Even going outside, now half an hour is about it. Then your tongue starts to burn and tingle, and your lips, and you just feel generally unwell. Yeah, it's just not a place we can live here anymore, which is really too bad. I don't know where else to go. I sleep where I can, sometimes in town, sometimes in my van, sometimes in one of my children's campers, but that's certainly not the answer for us.
I never wanted to associate myself with green piecers or tree huggers, and I almost feel myself kind of pulled that way and labeled that way a little bit to people who haven't been affected. It seemed like they were really concerned and caring and were willing to work with us, whether that meant a compensation to have us move, and at least we can get the value of our place out that way and give us a chance to build somewhere else. And when we did finally agree to that, they just kind of took the offer back and saying they weren't willing to go that route. So I almost kind of felt like they were bluffing us just to see how serious we were, if we were kind of just, fishing for some money or something anyways. And so it hasn't worked out well that way at all.
After second guessing ourselves and doing all the checks, is it us, is it the house, is it our heating system, and we realized it was our contaminated air that was causing our trouble. I said, well, this is no big deal. I'll just call Baytex up, let them know the problem, and I'd imagine they're going to take it serious, they're going to fix it. And I thought it'd be as simple as that. We're honest folks, and they met with me and they said, you shouldn't even have the odors in your yard, let alone our leases. That's executives from Baytex told me. He says, we'll have it fixed for you by fall. And we left from that first meeting very pleased that they're going to fix it. And when it started getting cold in September, and all the symptoms start coming back.
So I was at a meeting about 2 years ago, and I questioned one of the high health people from Alberta, and they said there was no danger. And then when I said, well, my lungs burned, my throat burnt, and I felt sick, and he says, well, it could be a danger for old people. A lot of the birds that we've had around here years ago, they're not here no more. And we noticed a lot of the deer didn't have fawns the last few years, so that might be some proof that there's a problem.
I was a hunting guide for 4 years, used to bring moose hunters, and they come out here to Prestige, Alberta, because we've got good whitetail, bear hunts, moose hunts, and they just want to come breathe some nice air, low population, hardly anybody, places to shoot their guns, and then they come to this.
I was thinking last night, I was reflecting on the whole thing, and I thought, if someone gets a stomach ache from produce they bought, whether it's E. coli or whatever it is, my goodness, they shut the store down. They come in, a team of people come in with white suits. They confiscate all the vegetables. They test them. They try to find out where the problem happened at this plant. Here we can't breathe and there's no investigation. Nothing?
I think the ERCB should put a well site trailer out at Baytex Corner. The government should have this up and running by Sunday morning, because we always get impacts on Sunday mornings. Set them up a camp and have them monitoring at night, not in the daytime when we're 24 degrees and the wind is blowing. Mother Nature takes care of us in those cases. She mixes the wind up for us and burns up the gases with the sun. This is one of the biggest productions. They said over 80% of the calls are coming out of Three Creeks now.
I went with their monitoring unit one night, and the people working the unit explained to me what they were doing. They had positioned themselves on the road downwind from these tanks, and they were in the right position, no doubt about it. But just standing there, I could hardly breathe to even talk to them. He was trying to explain to me what they were doing. They were monitoring approximately 12 feet high in the air. And I said to them, what are these gases we have down here? And they said, well, we don't know. I said, why are you testing up there? He says, oh, look, he said, and he showed me his computer, and he says, the air is relatively clean here. I said, can you monitor down here? Can you suck the air off the ground where the gases are? He says, no. He says, too many gases, and we can't do that. We wouldn't get a proper reading. He says, we're testing air and not gases. I said, do you have the technology? Can you test down here? He says, we can, but that test hasn't been called for. That's not what we're here for. So our problem is the air quality at 2 and 3 feet off the ground. If you just walk in a lower depression of 3 feet, means the difference between breathing or not. All I know is that these air reports, they hit all the government offices and they all show up as clean air. It is strange how things are getting tense in the area. When you drive down the side roads, these trucks, they look at you as though you don't belong there. And the other day I was parked on the road and I took out my binoculars to look at some tanks. Then I could see the workers on the site. They were all pulling out their cell phones, and within minutes a truck came out to see me from I don't know where. Asked me what I was doing there. I said, I live here. Now that I see how closely monitored we are, we certainly don't feel welcome here. We're not supposed to be here, I guess. I don't know. And then they asked me if I was monitoring the air. I said, no, the ERCB is. Well, it says, what are you doing then? I said, I live here. And I shouldn't have to explain what I'm doing on a public road.
Twice in the last 3 years, I've had visits from the RCMP, and how does that come? That's passing the buck, and that's trying to remove me because I'm a very voiceful person, and I can't even get the information who has sent the RCMP to my house, and that is a real blow to you. It's devastating when this comes and happens. I handled it very well. I said, you guys want to go through my house? I have nothing to hide. I mean, go through whatever you want. Go through the buildings. I've worked creatively with the parties. I've been to the ledge. I've been all over trying to do this. And nobody's been accountable for my visits.
What they've been trying to say, they're within regulations, and I just want to keep it simple with them. Say, okay, you're within regulations, but I can't live in my home. How's that within regulation? I don't have the right to clean air. And basically that's all it boils down to. They might be legal within the Alberta guidelines, but are they legal to poison residents?
It's dollars and cents it comes down to. It's a stock market. The more money you can give to your shareholders, the more money you're going to get into your company to expand. I want to see a closed system, and there's no reason why we can't get a closed system. Like I told the one oil company, I said, you're drilling holes all over wherever it's convenient and the most production. I said, we can't do that. We got to bunch up the wells and collect this gas and refine it and use it either in a power plant or in boilers to heat your stuff up. And then the excess dirty gas, and that should be pumped down a well like some companies are doing now. I think the only thing that's going to fix it is better government regulations. The people that live around Peace River, I would say that 70% is connected directly with the oil patch right now. When we want regulation change, they're worried about their incomes. Then they got to work their equipment, and they're scared if the oil patch slows down a little bit that their equipment won't be working. Alberta wasn't a rich province forever. Up until the 50s, they were one of the have-not provinces. And we're going too quickly with developing this oil and not keeping our regulations and air quality up to standards. I think it could be a curse for some communities, that's for sure. I'm not saying it would be for all Alberta.